So I use a lot of paper collage, acrylic paint pens, stamps, any kind of stuff that I can find. I have some examples. This is actually just an acrylic painting that I did that's actually huge, and this is what I'm going to show you how I make my own little products. Because, as you know, I'm sure, a lot of people cannot spend a lot of money on art these days. So I was finding I wasn't selling my big paintings, so I wanted to make something, so I decided to make my own products, because if you order these from other companies, there's no way you can charge enough to make any amount of money. So I thought, oh, I'm going to try this on my own. So I've done stuff like that, a little wall hanging. This was all paper, painted in the background, little texturizing tools, stuff like that. And this was another painting I did. These are some of the magnets that I do. So let's see, I've been doing art, I've always done some kind of craft or art since I was little. And I started painting when I was still working I was a pediatric nurse practitioner, so I worked in pediatric oncology for 20 some years, and then I moved into pediatric palliative care, which I love my job so much, but I definitely hit a wall at one point when I found myself in the closet of the basement of the hospital sobbing, and I was like, maybe it's time to be done with this. So then I moved into outpatient pediatrics and then retired during COVID because I couldn't take it anymore. But painting really was my saving grace, or just art in general in my job, because I would have an experience. I know I had an experience with a baby in an ICU who was dying, and the dad just couldn't stay in the room, and he made the mom leave with him, and so they just left the hospital as the baby was dying and said, just call us when he's gone. And that was probably one of the hardest things I've had to experience, because I was like, I can't just leave this baby. So the nurse and I stayed with him the whole time. So when I got home that night, I drew the little picture of a baby. I wrote all these words around it that kind of were swirling in my mind and stuff. And so that's always been something that's therapeutic for me. And so then I just decided to try to do it as a business, and I'm trying to think. My first show wasn't until probably let's see, trying to think of anyway, like maybe 2018 or something. So I've been doing shows since then, and just kind of growing and doing little bits. I don't make a ton of money at it like most artists, but I make some. So I thought today what I would show you is how I do these little things, and I'll pass this around. This is actually canvas paper that you can print on. I have a printer that I've had for 10 plus years. It's a Canon Pro 100. So I'm able to do my own prints at home. And I found Red River Paper actually has really good prices on paper. I don't know if you guys have heard about them. And I recently bought I had a scanner for a long time, and I bought an Epson workforce thing. But I can scan up to size 11 by 14 now, which has helped me a lot. So anyway, I can pass this around, and actually I'll pass these around at the same time. This is a list of where I get all my supplies, like for making cards, and unfortunately I forgot to grab a card to bring and show you guys today, and the paper that they have. But I get my paper also at Red River Paper for that, and it comes out to like less than or maybe $1 a card with my printing and everything, so that's not bad. Anyway, the supplies are in here, and if I pass this around so you guys can see. That is.
You print all these at home? That's wonderful.
And then this I did before I started doing the canvas prints on wood, and this is just like a wood thing from Craft Warehouse that I can get for $1 when it's on sale. And so I made the print and I glue it on there. This one I don't feel. I mean, it's good for its purpose, just to hang up and have fun, but it's not like covered with anything to protect it, except for just the paper itself. And prints are made to last, but like if it got splashed or something and put it in the bathroom or something, it might not be that great. And then this is just another example of like the canvas that's going around. So I was able to print this one on 11 by 14 and mount it on a board, so it looks like a nice painting, even though it's just a giclée print. And I advertise it that way, obviously, but it's a more reasonably priced way of getting a piece of my art. So that's that. And then I'm actually gonna pass these out too. So take one and write your name on it, and then just hold it to the end and we'll collect them and put them on the plate. And I thought I would just do a drawing for like the 2 magnets I'm gonna make and the canvas print that I'm gonna make today. So you guys can take it personally. Okay. So I thought I'll start with this one. This is the major one. I mean, printing cards, most people know how to do that. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those as well. But so what I do is this is on your list, it'll say it's Art Alternatives MDF panel. And they're pretty inexpensive. This size, I can get them for like $1.99 or even a little bit less per thing, and it's on there. The last time I ordered them from Michael's, they were on sale and it was a really good price. So they have the little keyhole things here, and the key is to remember where those are when you're gluing your picture on, because I can't tell you how many times I've done it the opposite way. And then I'm like, well, and that's why I have a little easel that they just sit on. That's how I advertise them now, because I can't guarantee I'm gonna do them right. I don't know how many times I've done it. It's like, think about it. Perfect, thank you. So, and then now what I do is back them with some felt, and so I'm going to show you that too, because I just think it makes it nicer presentation than this. So it's a plain panel. I cover it with some black acrylic paint or put some gesso on. I do the black because if there's any space between the canvas that I glue on and the back, it doesn't just show the bare wood. So I like to have a background like that. So I painted this already just so we wouldn't have to wait for that to dry. And this is the canvas paper, and I can actually, when I cut it, I'll pass this piece around so you can see what it's like. It looks like you can see the canvas on the back, and then they have this coated front. And it looks kind of dull right now, but with this, this is a Eco Print Shield, and it's a satin finish. It really brightens it up, and you put about 3 coats of that on, and it really protects it and brightens it up. So what I do is take this, and like I said, I craft a lot, so I have all these quilter supplies too. I don't really quilt, but I worked on a project with a friend of mine once, so I have all this stuff. So I just measure and cut, just so I make sure I cut the edges straight. So I just kind of line up and do one side. And this is going to be a little bit bigger than 6 by 6, so I'm going to have to cut it down, but I'll show you how I do that too once I mount it on the board. So, just do my little, what is that? There we go. Alright. Of course it's not
My
gonna
sister,
work today. Huh?
my sister took part of her finger off with one of those.
Yeah.
She's a quilter.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. They're pretty sharp.
They are.
And this blade's probably a little bit dull, but I don't do a lot of stuff with this, so. I'm just gonna trim this. Oops. Okay. So it's gonna cut off a little bit of what I want. All right. I hate when that happens. I should have gotten it. I need to get a new blade, but they're kind of expensive, so they're putting it off a little bit.
Is your printer inkjet or a laser?
It's inkjet.
Great.
And and it's the Canon Pro 100. And like I said, I've had it 10 plus years. I had it when we lived in the Bay Area of California, and we lived up here for 10 years now. So, and it still works great. And to replace it would be a crazy amount of money at this point. But they do, they have a, a later version of that now. I think it's the Pro 300 or something. So, but they're pretty pricey, but worth it in the long run instead of having to pay for getting prints made all the time. All right, so cut that
That's
out.
really professional.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
And actually that one fits there. So then it's just like that. Move this over. And if you want, I don't know if you want to see this. Yeah. All right. So then what I do, I'll put a little paper towel on the tables, is, are you guys familiar with golden regular gloss gel? Anybody do mixed media kind of stuff here at all? Yeah. So paper collage, it's the best glue around for artists, and it's, it's safe for all your artwork. So I use this to glue it onto the wood. So I just dip in, use a little brush, get as much as I can on there. I don't want to seep too much outside the edge, but I can definitely clean that up, so that's not a problem. Just want to make sure I get enough on there. And then what I do is take my little brayer just to make sure I get it on there good and tight, no air bubbles in it. Oops. See?
You have to be careful when you roll it so that it doesn't scoot.
So it doesn't scoot, and I don't want to get glue. So I don't go, like this.
Okay.
So, and a lot of times I'll put something else on top of it, like maybe this,
Okay.
and then just roll. I kind of, hang on to it with my fingers like that, just to make sure that it's on there really good. And then once it dries, I kind of check the corners, because sometimes the corners won't quite get it, especially on these bigger ones. So I just kind of wipe this down, and then we'll just let that dry. And that's as simple as that one is. But then I'm not done yet. And normally I let this dry. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna go ahead and show you my next step without it being dry. So then this is almost gone, so but I have enough to get it. And I get this at Red River Paper too. They offer this. When I was first buying the canvas, I saw this and I was like, wonder what that's for, and just experimented. And it's really nice. It puts a really nice finish on it.
What's it called?
It's called Premier Eco Print Shield. I don't know if you can get it someplace else. I've only seen it at Red River Paper, but I haven't looked for it anywhere else. So I get this wet, or filled with it, and I just roll it on. And it'll look bubbly and stuff, but it doesn't end up bubbly. Or, it doesn't show the roller spongy look to it. So it just covers up like that. So you can see it's kind of hazy. It dries in about 5 to 10 minutes, and then I put another coat on. So I usually wait about 15 minutes between, but I'll talk and do some other things and put another coat on that today. And then when it's dry, it's just a really nice piece for somebody to hang up, and I'll show you, put the felt on the back.
What else could you use that on?
The coating?
Yeah.
That I don't know. I think it's only, let me see what it says, because I've only ever used it for this. Inkjet prints must be completely dry before applying, so I guess you can put it on an inkjet print. A minimum of 24 hours after printing is what it's saying. Yeah, and then let's see. Here time, a minimum of 24 hours, you know, so that's before I go and sell it someplace, but, yeah, so I guess you can put it on prints, I never even thought about that. So it might work actually to do it on
Yeah.
these. So anyway, it's a similar process with this. I also use the golden gel, regular gel, but only underneath, and make sure I don't get it on the top because it'll make a spot on it. These are a little dicey just because of the holes in there to make sure, trying to get that lined up and do the hole punch, but this one turned out really well. So it's the same kind of process for doing that. So I'm gonna let this dry a little bit more. You can tell when it's almost dry because it actually, you don't see the little haziness over it. So I'm just gonna let that sit for a little bit more. And then talk about the magnets. So I've been through a variety of magnets. I used to buy those little 3x3 canvases, flat canvas boards, and put them on. But you know, the edges on that are kind of, they're frayed. The way they fold them, it makes it bulky in some place. And I was like, there gotta be a better way. So I found these canvas prints that are flat, and they're just cut on the side, and they have a big magnet on the back. So I love these for that. And they do have these in different shapes, like hearts.
So they are pre-magneted.
They're pre-magneted, which is awesome. Because the other thing in it, Mike, was a bulky magnet in the back. But these, I still have to do it that way. I put a glue a magnet on the back, and this is a clayboard tile. And the reason I started these is I found them for a killer sale at this store down in Southern California, this art supply store. And so I thought, man, I can always order them from there for that price, but that's not true. I have to really look for sale prices on these, and you can find them some places, but, you know, and, you know, some people might say it's kind of a waste to use a playboard for gluing something on top of it, but it works for me. So again, I just print my artwork on, this is just a regular glossy piece of paper for Canon. In this, I'm actually a pretty good cutter, so I usually do these by hand. But I was thinking the other day, or when I was getting ready for this, I thought, I could actually print these on canvas too and make it even look prettier, but I haven't done that yet. So I just kind of get that, I need to trim it a little bit more. And just trim it up. The other thing that's good with this little cutter thing is if it's hanging over the edge when I'm done, I can just kind of turn it upside down and run along the edge, and it makes it straight. So close enough for today's demo. And sometimes it depends, you know, they're a little bit not total 3x3. Yeah, so then it just fits on there, and I'll do the same thing, but let me cut this one out too. Put it on the clayboard. And there's going to be a little bit of space that's there. I usually am doing it a little bit more carefully, but for today I'll do this. I'm going to put another coat on this while I'm here. Let's see at the end.
Is that thingy easy to wash off when you're done?
The
rolly thing?
Yeah, I just take the roller off and just keep squeezing it under water, and it gets
Okay.
nice and clean. Yeah, yeah. Just like the foam brushes too, you know. All right. So again, I use the gloss gel, and I usually get. I'm quite the organizer with like what do I want to say? Assembly line. So I'll have all my things, and I'll just like glue, push the picture down, you know, roll, and then do another set. So it can go pretty quick. So again, I just put the glue on here, and you want to be really careful if you're putting a print on that you don't get glue on the top, because it does show, and I don't like it. So I put that, and I'll do the canvas at the same time. So it's a pretty easy process. I mean, it does take time. It is a little, sometimes when I'm doing it, I'm like, why do I not just find a place to order these? But they're too expensive.
Do you shrink the picture then to that size?
I do, I crop it or I put it on a piece, so the other thing is like, let me get this glue on and I'll talk. I can't talk and glue at the same time either. This is gonna be kind of quicker, so.
Do you use a special program or just the one that came with the printer?
I have Photoshop,
Okay.
so I do all my stuff in Photoshop. But I know other programs would work just as well. So what I'll do, I'm gonna put this over, and then I'll do the little roller thing again, and just make sure it's on there straight, which it is. Because sometimes it'll slip, like Kathy said, it'll move as you're doing it. I'll probably just trim off the edge of that when it's done. So then I just let them sit and dry. And like there's a little edge right here, you can barely see it, but I'll do the little cutter to make that smooth. So what I'll do, so like the magnets, I'll print even on an 11 by 14. And in Photoshop, you can set it up so that you can make the 3 by 3 grids and just pop them in there. And then I just print that. And then I can easily move them out and do whatever other ones I need. If I just need a couple, I'll do it on a small piece of paper like that. And I tend to use the, I think it's Pro Luster paper from Red River. It's on your list. I used to like glossy all the time, but now not so much. I like the more subtle, but not completely, matte. And for the canvases, I can actually get 13 by 19 canvas, and that's the biggest size my printer takes. And same thing, so I'll do a bunch of 6 by 6s on them and just cut them all out and do that. So it saves money that way, because per paper, it's not that much.
I think, can you get that done at UPS too?
What, scan on?
Oh, well, UPS, you could copy, your paintings onto their printer. I wonder if their printer can do that too. I'm not sure. It's just the same size. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
What
Is that, you said VPS or
No,
UPS?
United Postal
UPS?
Service. Yeah.
Oh.
They
Oh.
have a printer in there in
Oh.
Milwaukee, if you live in Milwaukee, at the marketplace, Milwaukee Marketplace, and they have a printer, and your artwork comes out just perfect.
Oh,
And
that's
it just
awesome.
even looks better
Yeah.
than the original picture.
Yeah, and it's not without, my printing is not without trial and error, and honestly, it's so frustrating to me sometimes because I'm like, why? You printed last time and it was the perfect color, but now it's not, and it's all like, and they keep changing, doing the updates, and then it doesn't always work with my computer, and so then I can't, so it's just like, sometimes it's a pain, and usually it's when I've procrastinated and I'm trying to get a bunch of stuff ready for a show, and I'm about ready to friggin' pull my hair out, because I just have it,
Where is
But-
this Red River paper?
It's actually, I think I'm trying to think if it's in Texas or in California. I order it all online,
Yeah,
yeah.
because I was just wondering where it's located.
I can't remember actually off the top of my head,
Have to Google it.
yeah. But they have great stuff, and I get my card paper there, and like I said on there, so I also have been dabbling in watercolor. I'm one of those artists that's like a hummingbird, like, oh, I like that, oh, I like that, let me try this, and so I do a lot of different mediums. So I've been doing some watercolor stuff, and printing that on glossy cardstock, for a card, it just wasn't the same as a watercolor field. So I got the matte paper, and it actually looks like it's the watercolor painting on the card. So that's very cool. And you can download if you have Photoshop, or there's other things that you can use too. But they have the templates for that, so that you can just fit your art right in there, and it prints right theoretically every time. That's again another thing with the border and stuff. So I apologize for not grabbing those. I forgot to leave my to-do list out this morning. I remembered a couple other things, but not that. So anyway, whoever wins this magnet is going to have to tape glue a magnet to the back of the But, so almost ready to do one more of that, and then I'll put the backing on. I can cut this right now. Actually, well, I can do one more coat of that. So same thing, I'll just cut this, to 6 by 6, and it's really nice if you can get it, the stuff that's got the sticky back on the felt. Hobby Lobby carries this now. I got a bunch at Michael's, but then my Michael's stopped carrying it. So, and it's nice because then you can just stick it to the back. Otherwise, you can cut felt and glue it on, the same process. I'll do this. And feel free to ask any questions while I'm doing this if you have any more questions.
So you've had the printer for a long time
Mhm.
for other reasons, but you take these to what kinds of places do you go and sell these at?
Most of my art shows, so I'll have my original paintings, but I also then have all these products. And they seem popular. Now, I was actually at the Three Rivers Artists Guild meeting last night, and we had a person there who just opened a gallery in Oregon City. It's a really small gallery, but anyway, she was talking about, someone asked if she did cards or magnets or those things, and she said no, she wasn't gonna, she goes, it's not a shop, it's a gallery. And, you know, and I have been thinking about this lately too. It's like, kind of like when you have the products like that, people won't buy your bigger art because they can be like, oh, I'll buy a 5 by 7 card and just frame it and have a smaller piece. I wanted to offer it to people because I love art, but I can't always afford the big pieces that I want, you know, so replica is fine. But you kind of have to balance that out, like you have all these products, and a lot of people will look at the painting and they're like, oh, do you have this in a card, do you have this in a magnet, you know, I'm like, why don't you want the regular one, you know, so it's hard. But yeah, I have a ton of magnets, ton of cards, pretty much everything that I've done I put in a card, which is getting ridiculously burdensome because I have so many now. But anyway, so yeah, I do them at, I've done Oregon City Festival of Arts, the Corvallis, there's a First Christian Church in Corvallis that does a craft, they call it a craft fair at the same time as the Corvallis Fall Festival. So it's like a third of the price to get into their show, and people think it's part of the show. I did really great there, not this year, but last year. This year was raining and that was tons of not fun.
I have a strange question.
No strange ones.
I used to have Photoshop.
Uh-huh.
That's when I had, it was a disc, and I put it in my computer.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the Microsoft computer. Well, now I have an Apple computer.
You can use Photoshop on Apple. There are versions of it.
Oh, the same one, or you have to get a different?
You have to buy a new.
You have to buy a new, yeah.
Okay.
It's made for Mac, yeah. And actually now it's hard, well, I guess you can probably still buy it separately, but I have it on that Creative Cloud, and then it gets updates and stuff like that all the time for free, which is nice. But it's a little, I wouldn't say it's a lot different. You know, everything's different, right? Technology-wise now. Since I'm not working anymore, I used to be on the computer all the time at work and kind of stayed up with things. So I'm finding like it's hard to kind of keep up with all the changes because a lot of stuff has gone to the cloud now. So like all my Microsoft like Word and stuff like that is part of the cloud and
So how
cloud.
do you bring the cloud in?
Well, it's on your computer, and you can save things that you do on that to your own computer, or it could be like to the drive to the cloud kind of thing. I like it on my computer. I want it in my stuff. I don't know. I'm old school. I'm starting to feel like my poor mom is like 85 and something happened with her computer and we had to redo it and the word's all different. And she's like, I need the word thing right there so I can click on it and it just brings my stuff up. I'm like, I know, I'm trying to get it back like that. Can it go back? I'm like, not that I know of. It's just frustrating. Technology can definitely be frustrating. So
It is, and I could add that, Photoshop is a monthly subscription, but there are other graphic softwares like Affinity Photo.
right, because you do a lot of graphic
I do,
stuff.
I'm a graphic
Right.
digital artist, so Affinity Photo is for Mac or for Windows, and I think right now it's like 15 or $59.99 or something like that, and it's a
That's good,
one-time.
yeah,
There's no monthly fee,
yeah.
and free updates until they come out with the new version. So I work with Photoshop, Elements, and Affinity Photo, well, CS4.
Yeah, that's good info.
But
Good,
it-
yeah, cause I think I pay like $9.99 a month or something for
Yeah.
having Photoshop. I might have to think about that, because monthly fees add up to, you know, when all these, well, you guys know, all these subscriptions to things and everything, they're like, only $7.99 a month. It's like for yours, but it's like another $7.99, another, before you know it, you're like $50 a month doing these things, so. I'm just gonna wait for that to dry. If anybody has any more questions, I know that didn't take very long, but I figured you guys might have
Perfect.
some
That,
questions.
that's good, because you gave us a lot of information
Oh, good.
and you made it easy to understand, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yes.
So what do we do with our little name?
Oh, yeah,